Hey guys, it's Becca. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to give a few tips on vlogging at Disney World. So I've heard from multiple people that either are really inspired to start vlogging or really want to, but you're nervous or you don't know how. So I'm going to share a few tips that helped me get started, and hopefully it helps point you in the right direction. So before we get into it, make sure that you are subscribed if you are not already. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up, and let's go ahead and jump into tip number one. So my first tip, and this is probably the most simple tip there is, but it is to be yourself. It's so easy when you've watched so many Disney vloggers for so long that you want to kind of mirror their style, and it can kind of hinder you from really shining in your own way because you're putting all of your energy and focus into trying to be like somebody else. And the biggest thing that I've learned is to just be myself and let my personality shine through. And that's what people love watching. People want to see your genuine personality. They don't want to see you trying to be like somebody else. They want to see you being you. And that can definitely come across in your vlogs. And I feel like from my very first trip that I've vlogged 3 trips now, so I'm definitely no expert, but after vlogging 3 trips, I feel like I have the 3 under my belt now, so I feel like I've gotten the hang of it a little bit. But my first trip, I feel like I put so much pressure on myself to try to come across like I knew what I was doing, when in reality, I really didn't. I feel like looking back on that trip, I wish I had just let my personality shine through more without feeling like I had to be so put together all the time. People want to see the goofy side of you. People want to see the mistakes, the moments that, may be kind of funny or things like that. I've gotten better at not editing those things out and including those things in my vlogs because I feel like that's what people enjoy seeing. They just want to see you. And I think in order to have that level of confidence when you're vlogging in Disney World, it just comes down to being yourself. Be confident, be who you are, and don't try to mirror someone else's channel. Be you, and people are gonna enjoy it. So my next tip for vlogging in Disney World is something that really helped me going into my first trip, and that is to map out and make a list of everything you want to record. Go day by day and write it out. And I have only done that for my first trip. My last 2, I did not do that, but it really helped me on my first trip kind of feel a little more confident in knowing in advance going into the trip, okay, this is what I'm gonna record. So our check-in day, I'm gonna record us walking into the resort. I'm gonna record us walking into the room and kind of do a quick little room tour. I'm gonna go to Hollywood Studios and get a clip of us walking in. Things like that. And of course, it doesn't have to be down to a T. You can always, when you're in the moment, it may look totally different, but it does help create a little bit of peace of mind going into the trip, knowing what you want to record, the shots you want to get, because ultimately you're telling a story of your day. And if you're just getting these random little clips of, you walking into your room and then all of a sudden you're sitting down eating a sandwich, people aren't going to be able to follow along with that. So I think it's important to map out and know in advance what you're going to record so that you can tell a story. And it doesn't have to be perfect. There are times where you miss something and you just got to roll with it, and that's okay. And people are still going to enjoy watching your vlog, but I think mapping everything out, knowing in advance the clips you want to get, and having a plan definitely helps you go into your trip with a little more confidence. My next tip is having the right equipment. And I'm not gonna go into a ton of detail with this because, like I mentioned before, I'm not a professional. I don't have the best of the best equipment, but I did invest in something pretty nice before my first trip. So if this is just for fun and you're just doing this on your phone, you just wanna come home and have something to watch when you get home, totally different. You can definitely get some really high quality footage on your phone. But if you are wanting this for a YouTube channel, I highly recommend investing in some good equipment. So I personally use the Sony a5000 and I love my camera. Of course, I will link it below, but I love Sony because they were made for video. Another thing to really know and invest in is to have some kind of handheld tripod. Something that's really easy to walk around with, something that's a little more compact. I had made the mistake of when I ordered my first, I didn't really know what I was looking for, to be honest, and when I ordered my first handheld, I guess it's called a monopod, but I didn't realize that it had an extension at the end of it. And so when I got to the first day at the park, the Disney security, of course, because of selfie sticks and all of that, those large tripods that can kind of obstruct other people's views during rides or fireworks, they are not allowed in the parks. So I get to Disney security and they made me aware that my monopod had an extension at the end and that I was not able to use it in the parks. So that kind of threw off my first trip a little bit. I was kind of bummed because then I didn't have anything to walk around the parks with. I just had to hold my camera like this. There's some kind of audio issues that resulted from that. So I definitely learned from my first trip to make sure that whatever type of handheld device that you are using does not have an extension at the end of it. So I just didn't realize what I was ordering ultimately. But what I have now is awesome and I will link that below as well. But it has a great handheld grip and I would say it's about, I should have brought it in here, I would say it's about that big. So it's perfect to where you don't feel like you're getting in other people's way or anything like that. You're not blocking anybody by holding this, because that was one thing I didn't want, to be holding something that was super industrial looking. I just wanted something that was small and kind of inconspicuous so I wouldn't draw a ton of attention to myself. So I would highly suggest something like that, and really knowing going into it, okay, I'm gonna expect to use this amount of storage space on my SD card, maybe bring a backup in case something happens, make sure you have an extra battery, a charger, you know, all of those things that seem obvious, but you definitely want to be a little more intentional about those things going into your first trip vlogging. You want to have everything prepared just in case. It just helps you have peace of mind. So again, those are the items that I use for vlogging. There are some awesome vlogging cameras out there, so just do your research and find what works best for you. But I love my Sony a5000 and definitely check it out if you are interested in what I'm using. My next tip is what to do when people get in the background of your video or start shouting things at you or are waving. This happens to me all the time. When I'm trying to film, you know, a shot of something, or we're talking and there's people that walk up behind us and they'll, you know, wave, or they'll ask, hey, can we be in your vlog, or something like that, and it kind of interrupts the flow of what you're trying to do. My main tip would be, unless it's something that completely disrupts what you're doing, if it's just something kind of subtle in the background, I just ignore it and keep filming. I don't turn around and, you know, stop what I'm doing and, oh, okay, dang it, we gotta start over. I just keep going. And if it is something to where it's really disruptive in the background, I will just edit that out. Usually it's just a few seconds of someone shouting something or waving and I can kind of edit that part out. But most of the time I do leave it in. If it's not super noticeable, I just ignore it and keep going. My final tip is to simply enjoy the moments, enjoy your trip. Don't put so much pressure on yourself to have to film everything to the point where if you miss something, you're disappointed, or disappointed in yourself. I think my first 2 trips that I vlogged, I put so much pressure on, okay, I don't really know what I'm doing, but this has to be perfect, and I want to make sure that I get the perfect clip, and I gotta film everything, and I gotta say the right thing, and I gotta this and that, and it's just impossible. There's so much that happens in one day at Disney. You do so much, and it's impossible to catch it all. And I think when you have the pressure of feeling like you have to have your camera out at every moment of the day, I think it's easy to feel like you're living your Disney vacation through a lens. And that was something that I was really intentional about on our last trip. And you may have noticed that our vlogs were a little bit shorter. I don't know, maybe not at all, but that was something that I worked really hard at this trip, was to make sure that we had chunks of the day where my camera wasn't out and I didn't have the pressure of having to film everything. So there's these gaps where we were just enjoying our day, whether we were with friends or just on our own, just me and Andy by ourselves. We really enjoy the moments when the camera's not out, and it makes your trip feel a little more enjoyable, I think, when you just take that pressure off and not feeling like, oh, I gotta have my camera in my hand every moment of the day. And if you do, awesome, go for it. If that's how you want to vlog, then again, be yourself. But for us, I really enjoyed being able to put our camera away for even just a couple of hours and say, okay, we're gonna take this time and ride a couple rides, have a snack, and then we'll get the camera out and kind of update everybody on what we've done. So I feel like that's what's worked best for us, because it allows us to be fully present in our trip. So that would be my last tip, is just enjoy the moments, whatever that looks like for you, whether it is having your camera out at every moment or putting the camera away for a few hours and just enjoy Disney without feeling like you have all this pressure on you to be perfect and to capture every moment perfectly, because it's just impossible. So those are my tips for vlogging in Disney World. Again, I'm not a professional. I haven't been doing this for years and years like a lot of people have, but coming from somebody who has done a few trips now, but still fairly new, I thought I would give at least a few pieces of advice of things that have been really helpful for me as a new Disney vlogger and YouTuber within the past year at least. But again, I hope this was helpful. Let me know in the comments below if you have a Disney YouTube channel and you are a Disney vlogger. Let me know what are some of the tips that you would give someone who's wanting to start a channel and who's wanting to start vlogging. I know that would be really helpful. So make sure again that you are subscribed, give this video a thumbs up, and I will see you guys in my next one. Bye.